This is the final project presentation for the Top 10 team. Aaron Quinn, Ed Rivera, Matt Philippi, Raghav Anand, and the name of our project is 10% Rule on Investment of Stocks. The agenda is we're going to talk about our project goals, the data inputs, the high-level design, do a demo, validation of our results, the lessons learned, and the future enhancements. So our project goals were to validate the 10% rule for investing. So it provides guidance on when to buy and sell a stock. And really the goal is to minimize losses when a stock declines. So you're going to take this rule and do it over the 30 Dow Jones stocks and then apply it to 3,000 stocks in the Russell 3000 index. And a disclaimer, don't use your own money. This is just a class project. So don't bet your retirement on this. So what is the 10% rule? It essentially says we have two scenarios. We can buy a stock and we can just hold it for the duration, or we can use an algorithm that creates a rule that tells us when it's best to buy and sell. So it's either do nothing or be active using an algorithm. So visually speaking, you can see a trend line of a price. So it would be sell, then buy at this point, and then sell at this point, and then buy at this point. So from an architecture standpoint, we used Yahoo Finance as our data source. We created a Python program that ingested data from the Yahoo Finance and applied the algorithm, the 10% rule algorithms. We outputted a file to HDFS and or Amazon S3 buckets. We used Spark to do some data processing, map, create RDDs, map it, create data frames, join two different data frames together, and then write to Hive, create a Hive table. And then from Hive, we use the Tableau Hadoop, Hortonworks Hadoop connectors to extract data from Hive and create dashboards. All of this was done on a Hortonworks sandbox, but we believe if we wanted to, we could have easily deployed it to a cluster. Okay, so for this demo, we're just going to talk about the inputs, the outputs, the files, and the technologies, and really the architecture and the flow. So first, we had a file with the URLs from Yahoo. So this is the Dow Jones 30. You can see the ticker symbols in here. So everything's the same except for the ticker symbols. We took that file and we ran it through this Python program. So that ingested the data. And then we had our 10% algorithms in here, and then from there that created an output file, which we called the big file, ticker, date, price, calculations based on the algorithm, and the buy and hold calculations. And then we used Spark, and from Spark we did some data processing. We actually used Zeppelin as our development platform, or IDD. So we had two different data frames, one with the metadata, company name, industry, exchange, and then we had another where we had the big file with all the data that we talked about. And so for both the metadata and the big file, we did 3 steps. We created an RDD, we defined the columns and the data types, and then we mapped the RDD, we split it out. It was a comma delimited file. We filtered to take out the header row for the ticker, and then we mapped it. And then for the metadata and then the big file data frame, we actually did a join to combine them both together. We created a temp table, and then an important part here, Hive. So we created the Hive context, and then we saved this as a Hive table. So this particular one was called My New Hive Table 3. So if we go over down bar here, we can go here, go to Hive View, and then from the Hive view, you can see this default container, and My New Hive Table 3 is where we save that. So I'll write a quick select star here. My New Hive Table 3. I'll execute that, and then I'll pause that. So here's the output right here from that select star query. So this is the Hive table created from the save as in the Spark code, and then from there we were able to use the Tableau Desktop Professional. So there's really 2 steps on getting set up with the Tableau Desktop Professional. First, you got to download the ODBC driver and install that. So system DNS, I downloaded the Hortonworks Hive DSN. We configured that right here with the endpoint, the ports. And then once you do that, you can open up Tableau, and then you can go out here to the connectors, and this is only available on Tableau Desktop Professional. Hortonworks, Hadoop, Hive, again, put in the endpoint, the type of server, login credentials, and then once you do that, you can connect directly to your Tableau table. I'm sorry, your Hive table. And then after connecting to our Hive table, we were able to create some dashboards here. This is one of the dashboards. So this is the output. So this is the blue line is the buy and hold value, do nothing, starting in 2007, ending in 2017, and then the orange value is the algorithm, the 10% rule output. So under this one, it looks like all the stocks stick kind of the same, but you can filter it by individual stocks. You can look at them individually. Okay, then a nice feature of Tableau here is you can do what's called Tableau Public. You can save it out to Tableau Public, and then you have your own URL. So Raghav, here's his profile. He put this dashboard out here. So anybody with this URL can actually do some exploratory analysis on our output right here. So this is the URL. And then you can do the same thing here. You can filter by the individual stock. And then in this case, we have actually two tiles here. To conclude, our hypothesis, was it better to buy and hold a stock or a collection of stocks, or is it better to use the 10% rule in the algorithm? So it just depends. We had different tweaks in our algorithms. So in some cases you would have been better off buying and holding, but in other cases you would have been the same, you would have been better, or you would have been worse off using the algorithm. So here's another on a larger portfolio. And then finally, lessons learned. We had to select our technologies. We tried to use Zeppelin as an IDE when it's really not. We had to learn the new technologies, programming time. And then the important lesson we learned was, hey, start with a small data set, keep it simple, but build for scalability. We believe that this is very scalable. You could you could download 50,000 or 5,000 stocks. We could put it up on a cluster, and it would work just fine. And then finally, future enhancements, execute a few times to understand the execution of the rules, some more automation around a bash script, maybe use NiFi, and then use Pig or other data visualization tools. So that's the Top 10 project, and thank you for listening.